Welcome to SNG. We're back on the 61 Panhead. I'm going to start working on the drum brakes. Beautiful day. Sun was out earlier. It's warming up. Listen, there's a motorcycle. That might be my fat bastard Buddy Jones. Let's see what he's got going on. What the hell is going on? I was just doing a video.
Just doing a video. Well, it's a nice day out. I'm done with the yard work. And I decided to go out for a ride. It fired right up. Like it should.
Like it should.
And I thought I'd come over and see what you're into.
Well, I'm on these drum brakes.
How they coming?
You know what? They're coming all right. I was just showing people here what I was going to do. I am going to... There they are. So my game plan is to get the grease out of that hole, pull those, they're glazed pretty bad. I'm going to yank them off. I don't think I'm going to replace them, would you?
I wouldn't.
I'm going to keep them. I'm going to clean them up. So I was saying I'm going to take this cotter key out, cotter pin, little washer. Should be able to pull those drums out, clean everything up, kind of knock the glaze off of them.
Yep.
Go to the other side of the drum and deglaze it, and then show them how to kind of center them in that hole and adjust them, and hopefully get the wheel back on.
That is a complicated system there. 2 springs and a cotter key. Wow. What was wrong with that setup? Let's make them complicated today.
Yeah.
Hey,
Well,
you don't want to make a panic stop with them, but they stop you. That's all that matters.
that's right.
That's all that matters.
That's right.
All right.
Anyhow, so Jones, what are you into? We're gonna ride?
I don't know. I just thought I'd come over here. I went and stopped, got some gas, and got in a conversation about the old bike with some guy at the gas station. Wanted to know what happened to that thing. And I said, she's had a hard life just like his owner. But it's all good, man. I enjoy talking to people about it. They see it. Some people want to come up and talk to you. Other people are kind of standoffish, like, oh, he probably don't want to talk. But I love it when people come up. Yeah. I can't wait till we take these out together and people look at them and go, and the story.
Well, I've got the fever. I might have to see how oil sump that 47 is. I might have to get on that. We might have to take a little ride. Maybe we'll put this off when it's not raining, right? What the heck?
All right.
So, if you've already subscribed, thank you very much. If you haven't, consider it. And I'll be back on these brakes here in just a second. See you. So we have the brake shoes removed. And really all we had to do is take a cotter pin out of this and a washer. And those brake shoes slid right off of this pin and right off of this pin. You can take the springs off if you'd like. I did. Made it easier to get them off. But we're going to clean all this up, get the grease out of it, and I've decided to change the shoes. Use a new set of tenors. I was looking here at first, and I showed this to Jones, and we both kind of agreed that, that's not bad. We're not down to the rivets yet. That's what it's like when it's new, pretty much. And, I thought maybe we could get a year or so, a couple years, for as little as I'm actually, going to ride this. But then when I looked at the left side, different story. Let's get this. There we go. Very almost to the rivets. So I am going to go ahead and get new shoes, and we'll kind of go from there. So I will wait until we get some more parts, and we'll get this cleaned up, and then we'll show you how to put the new brake shoes on and loosen everything up to center your brake shoes within your your actual hub, and go from there. So probably days have went by since I've been smashing these things together, right? I've been waiting for parts. Brake shoes, front brake shoes, finally came in. These front brake shoes are a lot better than the ones I took off. So we're going to see what they do. So one of the things that I want to do with these new brake shoes is we have a 90-degree corner right here on this brake pad. And from everything I've read, and also from what I took off the bike, these 90-degree corners were beveled. And I think the reason they were beveled is when your brake shoes are forced out, that we're not catching on the drum here on the corner. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to knock a bevel out on those and try not to breathe. Granted, we're not dealing with asbestos anymore, but I'm sure the stuff's not good to breathe, so you might want to wear a mask if you're doing it at home. Here's what I'm going to do. Just knocking the corner off. Try and hit just the brake pad and not the metal. So this is all I was doing. Can't see if you can see, but I knocked the corner off here so it's not 90. You can see that one there, that one there. So will that make a huge difference? I wish I could tell you. I'm rolling with it because a lot of guys do that, and it makes sense. So there you go. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to reset the camera up over at the bike. I am going to try to wash my hands once I get these. I'm going to spray these down. You can see I have grease on them a little bit from my greasy hands. You want to keep the grease off of these pads. I don't know that I need to scuff these up. I might hit them just a little bit, but I'm also going to hit the inside of the drum. So let me do that real quick, clean these up, spray some brake fluid on them, scuff them a little bit, scuff the inside of the drum, and I'll show you what that looks like. So I went ahead and I didn't sand the shoes very much because they were brand new and they kind of already had a scuff on them. So I sprayed them off with brake cleaner, got all my greasy fingerprints off of them. So those are ready to go. Washing my hands down a little bit. I took the brake drum. I mean, the inside looks really, really good. I mean, it's got some wear marks on the flat here, but as far as the drum itself, the flat, really, really nice. As far as these markings, the 4410, 44110-48, that's the Harley part number. The NI-MO as well as the MC stamping here is a period correct drum. Now whether this is new old stock, probably, I'm guessing, but it is the drum that goes on there. So that's cool. And so I get to keep that. But I went ahead and took some 80 grit sandpaper and I just knocked the rust off of it, knocked the, smooth off of it, just roughed it up a little bit, sprayed it down with some brake cleaner, so I'm ready to go. So that, along with the couple of front springs, my brake shoes, and if these weren't new and they were glazed and shiny, I'd scuff them down with some sandpaper also. So that being done, I'll move this over and we'll start to, I'll show you. I found it a little bit, I was surprised that there wasn't more information either on YouTube or in the manual or on chat forums. I found most of my stuff on chat forums. I did not, which I always say, take pictures. Take pictures. When you take it apart, at least you can get it back to the way it was. Somehow I lost the pictures of the front brakes before I disassembled them. So I have two springs, and it's like, okay, I know the length of the springs. I've got a real good idea. I know where the springs go. And these aren't directional, so as long as you have, when you put them together, as long as you have the flat on the flat and the round on the round, you're in good shape. Unless you've taken them off of a bike and they're not new and you're putting them back on and they're kind of married to your drum, I think I'd try my best to keep them in the right order. I think you'd be better off. They'd made up better, maybe. So you have all of these pivots, all these dowels or connecting rods that hold one side to the other. These brake springs actually go on the bottom pin and the top pin. And you have two grooves on each one of those pins. As you can see, I think. There's a groove here and a groove here. So when you put the springs on and you put the brakes on, you want your spring on the inside groove closest to your outer plate of your wheel, not towards your drum. And they say that the reason you do that, if they're on the outer side, it can actually cause the drums to come out and rub your brake inside of your brake drum. And maybe that's what happened there. I don't know, because I don't have the pictures and I don't remember what side these springs were on. But it took me a while to figure out just where to set the springs up at. And I'm surprised there's not a video, and maybe I'm just missing it, but at least when we're done, there'll be a video out there that somebody can reference and maybe help somebody out. So I'm going to get prepared to put these on. We'll go over, I'll show you I've got everything cleaned up. I'll show you what I'm going to grease, and we'll go from there. So here's the inside of our plate, our outer plate, and I got all the grease out. There was a bunch of grease in here, and you really don't want grease. That's particularly from over greasing the hubs, and then you don't want grease inside here. You do want to hit some pivot points. So what I'm going to do is I'm using some high temperature, just red and tacky grease. Probably use anything and be fine. But I am going to take a very, very small amount, and I'm going to go on this pin. And I'm going to go on this pin really just enough to get a light coating. I don't even want anything hanging off of it. Get a little bit of a light coating on there. And I might put a little on the back side where it rubs up against this here. Might just put a little bit on that plate if you can see that. But I don't want anything that can fly off and get on my shoes. So now I'll take this, and hopefully you can see I've got that in a good spot. This just slides right on, and there's a bushing in here. You want to check this bushing, make sure you're not loose, and you don't need to drive that bushing out and put a new bushing in. This bushing is good, I've checked it, and then kind of, you know, wiggle it, get it to go on. Here's another pivot point, obviously, right there. A little hard to get grease in there, so I'm going to take a little bit of oil. You can use whatever you want. This happens to be 60 weight, and I am not going to do a lot at all. And I did spray this with some oil. To get it lubricated real good. And again, I don't even want enough to where I could get a drip off of this. And right now you can see it's moving real freely. So if I get that kind of movement, you know, I feel pretty comfortable with that. And then on there, that's what we're going to do. That's how we're going to leave it. So another pivot point that I want to hit is where the top of the brake shoes ride on this pin here. So I'm going to put some on this pin. And again, I don't want to have a blob off there. So that's about all I'm going to do. So the other thing I want to make sure I do is when I put this back on, which is the mechanical piece that actually expands the brakes out against the drum, I want to put that washer back on there, as well as that cotter pin. That all drop in there, and maybe I'll grab a small screwdriver to help push this cotter pin out. Okay, and push this side out too. All right. So that'll keep that from falling off. And next, I'll see if I can make this zoom out a little bit. And I'll show you how I'm going to put these on. So if there's any front brake gurus out there that want to educate me if I'm doing something wrong, let me know. Again, I did not find a lot of information in the manual. I think it's so basic that they figure out if you can't figure this out, you shouldn't be messing with it type deal. Maybe. So as I showed you, there's two indents on each one of these pivot points. I'm going to go in the very top, and I want that on the inside, and I want this one on the inside of the bottom. What I mean in the inside is back against this plate. So I'll put those on. And I'm going to put that on. So I don't know that you can see that, but both of those are on the bottom pin toward the opposite side of the bike that I'm sitting on. And I'm going to put those together there. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put these on. And I'm putting, you know, do the hooks go up? Do the hooks go down? I figure gravity. I'm going hooks down. Right or wrong, indifferent, let me know. So, and this takes 3 hands, but hey, I don't have 3 hands, so I loosen that up a little bit, and I'll try to get this hooked on there. And you might not be able to see what, you know, probably setting it up against a bench would be a little easier than what I'm doing, but I'll get it here. It might take me just a little bit. I don't even know that you can see. I hope you can. So that way you can watch me fight this. So I basically have them both on now. I'll get my bottom started. And I'll take this and I'll just spread it and try to get it balanced on itself. So I'm on the inside, and I'm on the inside, and I have it set up like this. Now, I'm sure there's a lot of different ways to do this. This is how I did it, to where when I trial fit it, it was the easiest thing for me to do. So I'm going to spin this around to where you can see it. Where are we at? Right there. Okay. So what I did was, another thing you want to do that I'll mention is there's a, right here, that cable, you want to back off those nuts and tighten that up. Make it, you know, collapse it so that we get a little bit of slop. So your brake lever up here is real floppy, and that will enable you to take this and push this all the way down, which is what you'll need. And let's see if I can do this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get this started on here a little bit. Okay, and I'm going to hold so that my springs don't fall off, and I'm going to push this bottom flat against this here, and you'll see what I'll do. Like I said, maybe I'll be able to do it. Okay, so I've got the one on there, and now I'll kind of spring that over and flatten that out here. And I don't know that you can see, but, and you can do whatever way you want. You can pull the bottom out. I'm going to go ahead and put the top on, you know, a little bit, and then I'll pull the bottom out. And this top, when you put this in, there's a ridge, so you want the back side to drop in that ridge. Okay, and once you dropped into that ridge, you're going to be flush right here. You're going to know you're in the ridge if you're flush. So right now, hopefully you got an idea. So now what I want to double check is to make sure my springs haven't moved and come up on the front part of those spindles or front part of those pins. I want to make sure that the springs are on the back against this back plate, and they all are. And if they're not, grab a screwdriver and just push them over. So there's your brake shoes on. So I'm going to grab my drum and I was reading the manual, and the manual said if you want to center them in the middle of your drum, that you loosen this pin and you loosen this pin on the opposite side, which is over here. And let me see if you can. So you're supposed to take this nut off and washer, which has a flat washer, a lock washer, and a nut. You're supposed to be able to loosen that up. And then you have your nut that goes on here. And they say you loosen these up, and then that gives this some wiggle room to where when you tighten your brake, it centers everything, and then you tighten this down and this down. Here's my dilemma. This is in here so tight, there's no tolerance around here. There's absolutely no tolerance around here. What I'm wondering is if maybe since this, were they talking about a different model year? I don't know, so I'm looking for information. I have not found anything on that yet. So if anybody wants to chime in and tell me about that, I don't see how you could move anything. It's all, you know, everything's so tight. So let me know. I'd love to know. Educate me, guys. So that's where I'm at. And right now, I will take my brake shoe. And that's how the shoe's going to go on. And obviously it's going to be bolted up against the wheel. My axle's going to be in, so I'm not going to have all this floppy wiggly stuff. But and then what I'll do is I will I'm going to probably dry fit this and adjust my cable up here and get this thing set up to where it's just dragging, not really dragging, but you know, right there to where when I pull the brake, I've got as good of a front brake as I can. So that's the I think that the Buckster's here. Let's see what we got going on.
Listen to this clock. Listen to this thing.
Is it doing it again? Fuel pump.
As soon as you start it, all you hear is that clock whine.
So when I put this drum on, I think I actually called it a brake shoe. But that's a brake drum. But anyhow, that's on there. So we did a little video on Buck's bike. You'll see the video coming up. We changed his fuel filter, and I don't think that did it. They said it would, but we still have a little noise. So anyhow, thanks for watching. This is going to be it for the front brake shoes. Enjoy your evening. Smash that bell, punch that monkey in the throat, whatever you're supposed to do. Enjoy your evening. Peace. If you ride them, wrench them, but only if you want to. See you.